Hi, welcome back to another episode of Stand on Guard. I'm your host, David KRAYDEN. Thank you for joining me on Friday, November 1st. Hope you had a happy and healthy Halloween yesterday. Beautiful weather here in Ottawa. Very, very warm. When we come back, the truth about healthcare in Canada. And it's truth you won't get from the Liberal ads or the Liberal so-called health minister. I call him the unhealthy minister and other things when I'm not on camera. But we'll be right back. So we are in a very precarious position in this country. We need political change, but we also need the resolve to resist. And thank you for sharing this broadcast with your friends and family. One of our subscribers said she has done that. Thank you. That's what we need to do. You wouldn't believe how the suppression was working on me this week by YouTube for some of these stories. Don't want to talk about China. No. Don't want to talk about policy. Yeah, we show crowds of people angry at Justin Trudeau. That's okay, but don't get into the specifics. And YouTube gets very upset. But I'm going to keep talking about policies and interviewing real people. And we got more coming for you next week with people talking about issues. I think that is so important. We need to do that. Before I get into this bizarro Mark Holland interview, and by the way, Mark Holland would not come on my show. I've known of Mark Holland. I never knew Mark Holland since he first arrived on Parliament Hill as a rookie MP. And he has been one of the worst, most partisan MPs ever since. And this is not a man who should be your minister of health. I call him the unhealth minister, the unhealthy minister, other things too. He's also, of course, the euthanasia czar. Before we get into this bizarre interview, and not just, I don't want to just make ad hominem attacks on Mark Holland and make fun of him. He does that very well on his own. Let's confront him on the facts that he says are facts. Let's confront him with the facts on his lies. But first of all, interesting poll. I found this on Canada Pride. Just Canada Proud, not Pride. Canada Proud this morning. This says it all, folks. I think I'm wrong about a November election. I don't know how I missed this. Because I kept saying, well, you know, the NDP is well poised to become the official opposition. And that's the best. That's the best Jagmeet Singh can hope for. Because he's never going to be prime minister. He's certainly not going to be prime minister in the next election. Look at all those seats. By the way, that will be a record high number of seats, not just for the Conservatives, but for any political party in Canada, including the Liberals. The Conservatives already have the record because it's funny in Canadian history. Canadians overwhelmingly vote Liberal over the years. Then they just say, enough! And they have a massive outpouring of support for the Conservatives. This happened in 1958 to John Diefenbaker. He had a minority government in 57. The Liberals took it down, saying, Canadians want more Liberals. Dief won a huge majority, 208 seats in 1958. Brian Mulroney came back, I think it was about 215 seats in 1984. That was the largest majority in history. It still is up to today. And Pierre Poilievre is poised to beat that with 226 seats in the next election. Having said that, look at this chart. Who do you see in second place with official opposition status? 53 seats, Bloc Québécois. This has happened, of course, previously. A lot of us who remember the Bloc coming on the scene can tell you that, yeah, the Bloc came back with official opposition status in, let me see here. Let me get my dates correctly. 1993, when Jean Chrétien came in as prime minister. He had the Bloc as the official opposition. The Reform Party was, what, 1 or 2 seats away from a forming official opposition. The Bloc got it. One of the worst moments in Canadian history. They put their provincial flag in front of their opposition leader's office, not the Canadian flag. I won't go into that. But this is why the Bloc now, of course, wants an election and is voting against the government in the non-confidence motion. And the NDP is saying, hold it now. We are going to be reduced to third-party status, maybe just above the Liberals, who are going to be annihilated. Maybe we don't want an election. So Jagmeet Singh, one of the worst political leaders in political or Canadian history, is all over the map. Oh, I hate Justin Trudeau on Tuesday. I love him on Wednesday. Can't let those Conservatives take control, but I don't like the Liberals there either. He's just a gross incompetent. But that's what the NDP deserve, because it's an incompetent party of misfits and maladjusted politicians. Let's get to the real news here. I want to show you a bit of Liberal propaganda. This is going to make you spew.
To strengthening our public healthcare system, the Liberal team is fighting for you. After they secured vaccines to protect Canadians from COVID-19, they made investments to hire more family doctors and reduce wait lists. Now they're rolling out dental care, and they're getting pharmacare done to deliver free contraceptives and diabetes medications. Pierre Poilievre has made it clear that he would make cuts to all these investments, removing healthcare services from millions of Canadians. Canadians need progress, not cuts. We won't go back.
Good. Remove them. I don't want the government putting its hand in my left pocket and giving me a few bucks back in my right. Their dental care plan is a boast. It's like it's like clouds without rain, as Proverbs likes to say. It's a completely irrational boast of 1 million. Where do they get that? 1 million Canadians signed up to? Yeah, right. Most people are ineligible for it. And besides, do you really think a dental plan is going to save the Liberal government? Do you really think Canada wants to be defined by a dental plan or free birth control pills? The Liberals have 3 things they're offering right now for the next election: free birth control pills, free insulin, dental care plan. Oh, yeah, and the free lunch that hasn't happened yet for the kids in school. And that's going to reduce your grocery bill by what? $20 a week? It is absolutely inane. That's what the Liberals are standing for. I want a government that says, go ahead, run your own lives, make your own money. We won't tax you to death. In fact, I'd like a government that says no more income tax. Donald Trump is talking that way in the United States. I hope that rubs off on Pierre Poilievre. Let's stop stealing people's money so you can invest it in your pet projects. Now, that was a piece of utter propaganda. Let's listen to chief propagandist Mark Holland. Yes, the euthanasia czar, as well as the unhealthy minister. This is the guy who is so partisan. He breaks down here almost and say, I've been a Liberal since I was a kid. I was a Liberal since I started working for the party at 10 years old. What a pathetic individual. What a pathetic man. So he's been a partisan Liberal since he was a kid. Wow. This is a great interview. We'll watch most of it. I'm not going to show you the whole thing. But I'm not just going to make fun of Mark Holland. I'm going to show you why he's lying.
Arguing to Canadians tonight that they should be happy that some baseline has been returned to. I cannot imagine there is a single Canadian watching the program tonight who feels like their access to healthcare has improved under the last number of years. And you referenced those bilateral deals. I mean, they were signed well over a year ago. If they are so effective, why aren't they yet working?
Well, in the first order, as I said, I met with my G7 counterparts. I don't think anybody should be happy with the health challenges coming out of the pandemic, Fashy. I think the fact that we had one of the best responses and that we're bouncing back faster than just about anybody else, no one should be happy with that. But what we're saying is,
but that's not what I'm presenting to you, Minister. With all due respect, I'm not saying this is a binary choice between cutting and not. Your party put out an ad asking Canadians to give them credit for the healthcare system that they are enduring right now. And I put to you, I don't know any Canadian who thinks that they have a level of access to that healthcare system that is anywhere near satisfactory that they should in turn be giving you credit for.
But what I'm saying, this isn't about credit. I mean, I appreciate maybe that's how you...
And certainly, I don't.
Of course, it's about credit. What do you think you put an ad out for? You're the Mr. Partisan politician, Mark. You know what political advertising is all about. Don't feign ignorance. It's just insulting to everybody's intelligence.
Think me highlighting a lack of access to primary care is dismissing advances that have been made in healthcare in this country. I ask you again, in all honesty, are there Canadians that come up to you and tell you they're satisfied with their ability to see a family doctor? That is the promise your government made to them in 2019, that access to primary care would expand and improve under your watch. The opposite has happened. You're blaming COVID, just like the immigration minister blames COVID, the housing minister blames COVID. You know, I get it. COVID was a big deal. But it's being over for 2 years, and you are asking Canadians to give you credit for those improvements with this ad. Why else would you put out an ad?
You're thinking about credit. I'm not interested in credit. I was head of the Heart and Stroke Foundation. I've spent my entire life advocating for changes to our health system. You seem to be very fixated on credit. I'm not interested in credit. I'm interested in improving the system.
You put out an ad asking Canadians.
This is the man who is advocating for the euthanasia for mentally ill people. He's so concerned about your health. This is the man who's advocating for greater euthanasia in this country. I won't go any further because you're not supposed to talk about euthanasia.
To support your party because of healthcare.
But
that's asking for credit.
But Vashi, listen to me. But no, what it's asking for is to continue progress. What it's asking for is to say that, yes, Vashi, this was the largest event since really World War II that disrupted the entire global circumstance. There isn't you tell me a health system that wasn't rocked by the pandemic. And we came out it faster and better than anybody. And we're one of the best, absolutely. Surgical wait times in terms of turning around the health workforce issues. So, yeah, I mean, you know, I suppose.
That's where we've got him. And that's where we've got him. Because, have a look at this. Here's a report from the Fraser Institute from December 2023. Still very valid today. Wait times are going up. Now, when Trudeau promised he would reduce wait times in 2019, it was 20.9 weeks for an ordinary operation. As of December 2023, it's 27.7 weeks. Those are the wait times for an operation. We'll see more of this slide. The Fraser Institute does an annual report about this. And it demonstrates why Canada doesn't have one of the best healthcare systems in the world. It has one of the worst, because the average Canadian is paying more for their healthcare than the average American pays for private healthcare insurance. If you think healthcare is free in Canada, so what the hell? It may be bad, but it's free. It's not free. You're paying for it in your taxes, with your taxes every tax year. And you're paying more in your taxes than Americans voluntarily spend on healthcare insurance. Now, this is an absolute conundrum for people like Mark Holland, who don't want to acknowledge the facts. These are the facts in front of you. What else? You can die in Canada waiting for an operation from Mark Holland's wonderful healthcare system. You have an urgent operation, you know what they'll offer you? Euthanasia. You have cancer, third stage cancer? Well, why don't you consider MAID? Maybe that's an option for you, because you're not going to get to the operating room fast enough. I have seen so many cases. I've written about cases of this where Canadians had to go to the States for healthcare because they couldn't get the operation done in time in Canada before they would be dead. Now can't say dead either, but that is the reality. 65,000 plus Canadians go to the United States every year for operations they can't get in Canada. Let's go back to the pitiful Mark Holland.
If you said, well, let's pretend the pandemic never exists, that, that we should be held to some kind of, like, what I'm saying is I can give you a clear plan. And unfortunately, this format doesn't allow us to go deep enough. But let's talk dental care. Let's talk about Dr. Redmond, who is in Gander, who in just the last number of months, his team has identified 3 oral cancers because of the Canadian Dental Care Plan. Those are cancers that would not have been identified if we didn't have preventative care. That's what Pierre Poilievre would cut. You want to talk about diabetes? Costs this country $30 billion a year. Pierre Poilievre will stop our ability to get diabetes patients medication. That's going to cost this country.
It's not stopping anybody from getting medication. No, absolute lie.
An untold billions of dollars, and it's socially unjust that somebody should go blind or should lose a limb because they don't have access to the medication they need. That's what's at stake.
Does anybody not have access to the medication they need? Of course not. Utter nonsense.
So you talk about credit. I'm talking about people's health. I'm talking about people's lives.
You're talking about taking people's lives through your program.
About progress in our health system.
Right.
I'm talking about making sure that we build on one of the best health systems in the world. And
it's one of the worst healthcare systems in the world, Holland. And you know it, and I know it, and the Canadian people know it.
I'm here to fight for it, Vashi. And so you're talking about credit. I'm talking about fighting for what I care about.
I mean,
right, so why would we allow Pierre Poilievre to cut it? Right? Why would we?
Yeah, but an ad put out by a political party is hoping to advance the cause of that political party among Canadians. You are hoping by putting that ad out that Canadians will respond to it and say, we want you to stay on this track. We are giving you credit for where we are right now. And I'm putting to you that despite all the stuff that you just laid out, which I agree, look, there is expanded access for people with diabetes and under dental care. I would not take away from that. There are still major, major issues in this healthcare system that you have presided over.
But I mean, you make a fundamental mistake, with all due respect, Vashi. I joined the Liberal Party when I was 12 years old. I started.
Okay, so it was 12, not 10. He joined the Liberal Party at 12. He wants to promote this. He's proud of the fact. He's been a lifelong partisan since he was 12. There's something seriously wrong with this man. Seriously, seriously wrong.
Investing my life, and people looked at me weird. My mom gave me a packed lunch, and I went to volunteer in a campaign office. And like so many people in politics, I went in because I believe in this country and I believe in trying to make it better. Look, there's many things that I or anybody in politics could do. The reason I'm not on Halloween tonight with my family, being there for my family that I love, is so that I can fight for the kind of future I believe that they should have, the kind of country that we should have, one.
The kind of country that's become the assisted suicide capital of the world. That's the country Mark Holland is fighting for. That's the country Mark Holland envisions. And that's why he's sacrificing his time on Halloween so he can bring that kind of country home.
Where we get to live free of disease and illness, where we attack illness before it happens, when we're investing upstream. That's what I'm here for. That's what I'm in it. You want to call it credit? Like, I'm going to be forgotten, Vashi. 5 years now, I lost. I know this. Once the title's gone, I'm forgotten. No one's going to remember me. But
well, unfortunately, a lot of people who lose relatives and family to your programs are going to remember you, Mark.
What I'm going to know in the depths of my heart, in the moments that I had, is did I deliver for Canadians? Did I get it done? Did I improve care?
And I think it's fair for somebody to ask you about the areas that you haven't delivered on. Yeah, and I'm not taking away from your motivation.
Totally.
And he hasn't delivered on any of the Liberal promises. Look at some more here. Not that he's refer to my glasses here. So once again, I encourage you to read this. Fraser Institute. In 2023, physicians report a median time wait of 27.7 weeks between a referral from a general practitioner and receipt of treatment. This represents the longest delay in the survey's history and is 198% longer than the 9.3 weeks Canadian patients could expect to wait in 1993. Those are the reality. Those are the facts. And I would encourage you to get this report and find out what the reality is about Canadian healthcare. Patients also face considerable delays for diagnostic technology. This year, Canadians could expect to wait 6.6 weeks for a CT scan, 12.9 weeks for an MRI scan, and 5.3 weeks for an ultrasound. I did a story when I was working for the Daily Caller, and I think we'll get to Patty Ajou in a second here. But I did a story when I was working for the Daily Caller. You remember Bernie Sanders, Senator Bernie Sanders, the independent who was running for president in 2016. He was running against Hillary Clinton. You recall, and of course, the Democratic Party did not want Bernie Sanders to win, so they got together and found a way to defeat him. But during the campaign, his run for the Democratic nomination, he had a cancer scare. And no, he actually had a heart. Cancer is just as bad, but he had a heart attack scare, and he needed an immediate operation, or he probably would have died. Now that procedure would have taken up to 4 or 5 weeks at the time in Canada. He had to get it immediately. He had it done in the United States. I said in that article, had Bernie Sanders, who advocated for Canada's healthcare system, which he loves so much, had he had Canada's healthcare system when he needed immediate surgery to avoid a heart attack, it would not have come through for him. He would have been on a wait list. Now you might say, well, Bernie Sanders is an important politician, he's a senator. He's going to get better healthcare than that. Probably. But other people like Bernie Sanders would not. Other people who had the same medical procedure, who needed the same medical procedure, would not have gotten any special healthcare, would not have gotten special consideration, and they would be dead in Canada. So, that is the reality. Let's have a look at Patty Ajou here. Former health minister. What is Patty concerned about? Your government put men in women's prisons, shelters, rape crisis centers, hospital wards, washrooms, change rooms, locker rooms. Good to know when women and girls are raped because you destroyed women's sex-based rights, you'll stand by our right to choose. Women never choose to be redefined to include men. Patty Ajou. Conservatives will never stand up for a woman's right to choose. That was all she cared about as a health minister. Women should have a right to control our bodies, our own bodies, except when it comes to a vaccine, eh, Patty? That didn't apply. That didn't apply. Can I find any good news today? Well, you bet I can. You bet I can. And we're going to find that in a second here. Sorry, I cannot. Where are we? No, back to that. Anyway, this is the point I want to leave you with, is that the Canadian healthcare system is the bottom of the barrel. It's second drawer. It is nothing like you're hearing from Mark Holland or any liberal ad. They're lying to you. They're absolutely lying to you. And that, my friend, is what Canadian healthcare is delivering for people. And I think it's, here, I'm just trying to look at some of your comments here. Well, that was a long one. Yeah, you see, we all know stories, not anecdotal stories that you heard you heard somebody else tell you, but these are documented stories of people who had to leave the country to get medical care. And here we have Mark Holland absolutely misrepresenting Canadian healthcare, saying wait times are going down. They're not. They're continuing to go up. And that is the truth. And we showed you what the reality is. And if you think this country has gotten healthier under Mark Holland, you're wrong. And I think most of you watching today realize that. it is not getting healthier. I'm just putting up some of your comments. By the way, we appreciate you. We love your comments. Thank you for watching today. Thank you for being a part of this experience. What we try to do here every week is give you all the news you need to know, and so we can all continue to resolve to resist. And it is phenomenal where this country has come under the Liberals. It is absolutely phenomenal, because we have a minister who has the gall to say that advertisement had nothing to do with credit. Well, you're right. Your government can take no credit because you're lying through your teeth about programs that are meaningless, about programs that most of us don't even want to access. And I come back to this. If you think dental care is going to save the Trudeau government, forget it. Healthcare isn't doing it either. And it doesn't matter how many billions of dollars you pour into a healthcare system that is essentially intrinsically flawed. It's not going to solve the problem. Mark Holland has no idea. So he sits during these interviews and just spews forth the talking points, hoping somebody out there is going to believe it. Thanks for watching today, folks. We'll be back again tomorrow with another episode of Stand on Guard. God bless you. Enjoy your Friday. It's actually my day off from the post-millennial. I won't be writing today. I'm going to be working all weekend on shows like this. And we need to keep everybody informed. So we're probably not going to have that November election, I kept thinking. And as I said, it's for the reasons that we listed here. The NDP is no longer poised to be the official opposition. But I don't think we're going to get past the spring with this anywhere. And things could still happen, because when you've got a party under the so-called leadership of Jagmeet Singh, anything can happen and often does. We'll be back again tomorrow, folks. Thanks for watching.